Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 137 of Let's Play, and we are here with Shirin and Myrna.
Hey.
Yes, and this is going to be a short one because we have time constraints. All right, so we started out with this like epic fantasy game because they're in the game that they're playing, and we have Sam, and I believe that's Dallas and Angela. Right? I have a hard time remembering, which is why I'm glad that she put like their little names to remind us who's who. Yeah,
it's been a long time since we saw them gaming.
Yeah.
And like
so
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, so when we first saw them, I literally like read it like 3 or 4 times to try to memorize like which one was which. But they do have, honestly, they do have similar features. Like there's always something that should remind you like which one is which.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there they are. They're all dressed up in battle gear. They're in the game. And 𝗵𝗼𝗲𝗁, who is really Abe, says, you know, ready, check, ready. We have Angela, who's called Signy. So she has like a long blonde hair. Edgar, it looks exactly the same. That's that one.
Yeah.
And Dallas is Night Killer, XX.
Of course.
Like the stereotypical kid gaming name ever.
Yeah.
It's adorable. And I mean, for me also, obviously, like they're all in a magical game. And like, I think that the character that you put on either expresses something that you want to be or something that you are, or something maybe sometimes it's the opposite. But for me, like Dallas's, you know, outfit is like he's like the warrior. And I feel like he has a lot of aggression inside of him that he needs to express.
So I actually don't play this game, but I do play Dungeons and Dragons, and his character is a rogue, which like they're very sneaky, and they're the ones who are most likely going to be picking locks. I mean, I'm assuming that it's going to be similar in the game and stuff. So
yeah,
being sneaky though with him and the toilet paper is like, you know, basically I see it, you know.
Yeah. And I think his character is like just what he wished he was, you know. It's like experienced, a little bit like mysterious, you know, like muscular and things like that. Like, not that it's even necessarily attractive, but yeah, it's like this guy was like, I'm a badass, you know.
He wants to be a badass is what I get from him.
I have to say, I forgot that Olivia and Edgar existed.
Olivia and Edgar are my favorite duo in the entire series.
Don't they remind you of the butler and the lady from Purple Hyacinth too?
Yes.
A bit, yes.
Yeah, a bit, because
like,
he's a butler.
Yeah, but yeah, just this like kind of comic relief type thing, but.
Yeah, and then we have like Lily Chan is Olivia, and she looks exactly the same, like the cute little girl. And Sam is our Dion. So really, you were talking about Sam's character?
We were talking about Vicky's character, but you know, Sam being Ariadne, and you know, being is she a witch or a sorceress? I cannot tell. She's a mage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like my Miss is here.
But we're talking about Vicky's character and saying that she seems to be like a monk type character. Like it's very stereotypical, like the sage Buddhist monk type thing, but they're actually like a fighter character. But they can like it's almost like 2 things in one, because I think that I've never played a monk. That's like the one like class I've never played, so I don't know much about it. But I believe that they do have some healing. So
yeah,
that would make sense for Vicky's character as like a spiritual guru healer.
Yeah, and so again, I've never played World of Warcraft. I don't know. I've only ever played D&D, but like so the magic. So they do have like they use it like their chi, but a lot of the magic characters, like mages and stuff like that, do actually have like healing capabilities. Like, so I mean, where Olivia is like their main healer, like Sam and Vicky might have some healing that they can do.
Interesting. That's funny because I just thought about Olivia with the healing. I don't know how Olivia acquired her disability, or is it selective mutism that she has, or is it like a physical thing? But
she's deaf, so and I know that not all deaf people can like learn to talk. That's really difficult.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I wonder if the healing, if she chose to be a healer because she feels like she would want to heal herself. We get a very tough exterior from Olivia. You know, she doesn't play as like the sweet little girl that she looks like, and I like that, and it's a nice reversal. But I do wonder if that's significant.
Yeah, I feel like at this point we probably won't find out much more about her, right? I mean, we're on season 3 and we know hardly anything about her, so I can't really imagine that she's going to be that important still.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she'll be well developed in this one. So anywho, they are in their quest, and we see Sam leaning down looking at some flowers, and she's picking up a calla lily, looking at it, smiling, very sweet. You know, Sam appreciates beautiful things. And you know, I like the word windswept. You know, it's like she's just very picturesque and looking very cute and happy. And suddenly, disturbing her peaceful meditative moment in this glen of flowers, we have, I effing hate this quest. And Sam is like jolted back into reality because you see her back in her room or whatever, and you know, she's at the computer. So like, she was indulging in this fantasy, this like peaceful spot, and now she's just back in reality because Angela is yelling at the computer, I'm a max level Valkyrie. Yeah, I have a 238.13 eye level on my gear. I have slain the demon king of 𝗍𝗗𝗁𝗏, freed the realm of the giant frozen army, defeated the god king 𝗪𝗺 and his minions, and conquered the core dragon from destroying the world. So why, after all my heroic deeds, must I dig through animal shit for this dumbass quest?
Yeah, so funny.
Yep. And I like that she, you know, has clearly accomplished things within the game. Also, her outfit is revealing, and that's kind of how she dresses in real life, so it's not surprising.
Yeah.
Very cute. And Sam's like, oh, I did that quest already today. You know, she does not get very agitated. Like, that does not.
I feel like Sam doesn't mind like the busy work with games. You know what I mean? Like I feel like her game was very centered on that stuff that most people would skip on other games. You know what I mean? Like they want like all the action, so they skip all the backstory. But Sam is more all about the backstory.
That's good.
Yeah, I think she would spend a lot of time like, not like grinding for level, but like, you know, I don't know if you played like have played Breath of the Wild, but I feel like Sam would find all of the Korok seeds. I don't know.
I just remember when I was playing Diablo with was it Diablo 3, I think? It was like 2 or 3 with my husband. And like he kept trying to skip like all the like, you know, cut scenes. And I was like, no, let me, you know. And so I can kind of understand Sam here.
Yeah.
So she's like, why do they always have to have a shit-sifting quest in each expansion? Anyway, what are you up to now, Sam? And she says that Olivia needed to farm some herbs for her alchemy, so I'm helping her out. And she's like, I thought Olivia was still in bed. She is. And then we see Olivia, and then whoop, get a face reveal. Aaron's logged into her account. And
so funny.
He wouldn't, if he was logged into her account, she wouldn't actually be looking like that, but it's a really cute way of showing that.
Yeah, I really like the way Monkey like combines the fact that it's like people playing the characters. Yeah, it's really cool. Visually, it's like very fun to watch.
And she's like, I don't know why he needs my help. He has all of the spawns in their race memorized. You know, and Angela's like, gee, I wish I had a butler to grind my crafting while I slept in. And by the way, Sam, why were you so tired that you passed out last night? That boss of yours hard. That's some innuendo there with the boss and
boss pushing you too hard.
Yeah. it makes me really sad that Sam feels like she can't tell Angela, because these are like her closest friends, and you know, obviously Vicky and Angela seem to have experience in these things and she doesn't, and it would be so great if she could like rely on them and talk to them. But then when she says like, I love to get some advice, she basically saying like, I can't get it from them. And that makes me so sad for her, you know, that they shelter her so much.
I feel like it's more like, you know, she's not super confident in herself. So, you know, and her friends have like very strong personalities, you know. Vicky's very soft, but she's very like firm, you know, with her personality. Just because she's soft, she's not a pushover, you know what I mean? Where Sam is still kind of almost in the pushover phase. And, you know, like I feel like she just doesn't want to cause anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that she can't trust them. I feel like for her, it's mostly that, you know, she's afraid of being overwhelmed. You know what I mean? She hasn't quite progressed enough to be able to be like, no, this is what happened. You know what I mean? If they take it the wrong way. Because they still baby her very much, as Charles pointed out.
Like, maybe it's not that she doesn't trust them. I feel like she doesn't trust them to trust her, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think they don't maybe think she knows what's good for her, because it's been so long and I haven't reread the last 2 seasons, to be honest. But wasn't it when she started going out with Link that they were like Vicky and Angela? I remember like a scene in the coffee shop or something where they were like a little bit protective of her, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's like almost, I don't know, stinting her a little bit in that regard, instead of being supportive and like encouraging her properly. I don't know.
It's so hard because you can tell they're very maternal with her. You know what I mean? And being a mom myself of a preteen and you know other kids, it's so hard because you know, you're like, if you just listen to me, you can just bypass all of this hard stuff. But the thing is that in order to grow, you need the hard stuff. So it's like, well, yeah, you need to figure it out. But at the same time, it's so infuriating. But I'm sure with them, they're like, oh, you know, they think they know, but they really need to let her go through it. You know what I mean? Like they want to save her, but by trying to save her always, they're not letting her grow.
Yeah.
They would also be extra concerned because Charles is her boss, and if she described his behavior to him, they haven't met him as far as I know, but I'm not sure if they would trust him, and I do feel like they would tell her to stay away. And I think that she does trust Charles and doesn't want to have to try to stand up to them, because it would be difficult for her to be with Charles against her friend's wishes.
Also, Charles is like what, like 7, 8 years older than her. So I'm sure that people I'm sure they know that he's considerably older than her, and they're probably gonna be like, oh, you're going for a much older man, you know.
Yeah.
When you're like 22, 23, and you're like, hey, I'm dating a guy in his 30s, everybody's gonna look at you a little weird. You know what I mean?
I have. When I was 19, I dated a guy who was 33 for a few months. And like, you know, people can say what they want. I mean, I was on holiday in Australia, and he was an Australian surfer. Like, I had the time of my life with this guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, was he ever going to be the guy I would like marry? No. Especially because he compared children to wetsuits. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily always a bad thing. And I mean, even my parents knew that I was dating this guy, but I feel like if you can trust someone to have their back, then you can even share these kind of things with them, you know. And I'm just sad that Sam doesn't feel like she can tell them, or she wants to tell them even, which made me wonder, who's she going to get advice from? Is it going to be Marshall, or is it going to be ~𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀? Is it going to be Monica?
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good question, because I mean, I feel like she would ask, you know, she already got Monica's opinion on clothes, you know. So I feel like she would probably feel more comfortable going to Monica with this kind of stuff, especially because like Monica doesn't baby Sam. She just, you know, she talks to her like a fellow adult. So
that's so true. Yeah. Well, since we have another 10 minutes, let's keep moving. And
Yeah.
you know, she continues. They're back in the game. She's like, "Oh, want to join me on for a pug dungeon after the quest? Then we're gonna have a few more herbs for Olivia, and I'll join you." And she's like, "Oh, what is that?" And it's an angel wings flower. Those are incredibly rare. Grab it before others spot it in their mini map. And she's running towards it, hurrying. She's thinking, "This is so great. They only spawn randomly around the world once a month. We can use it to craft epic items. I just need to make some room in my inventory." And then while she's doing that, a dragon looms over her, slams down, roars at her, and someone's like, "Something wrong, Sam?" And she's like, "No, I just aggroed a dragon whelp. It's not a problem." So I like the fact that she's confident and she feels she can deal with it. But somebody comes behind her and says, "Feareth not, Miss Mage, I shall assist thee." And it's a male, and they snap their fingers and shoot out these icicles. They freeze, and the dragon freezes, and Sam is saved. And then the dragon transforms into 𝗠𝗵𝗲𝗁. So I don't know World of Warcraft or games, but I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Huzzah, new level gained." And the newcomer says, "I have reached the peak of mine own knowledge and experience." He's carrying a book on his back. He has a bag. And Sam says, "Congratulations on reaching max level." He's like, "Max level? I am afraid I knoweth not of which thee speaketh." Thou speaketh. Oh, okay, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay. And then Sam's like, "Wait a minute, is he a role player? You don't see many of those these days." And the person whose face is shrouded in shadow says, "'Tis a pleasure to meet thee, Miss Mage. I am Dion, sorcerer of 𝗪𝗏𝗻𝗄." And she thinks to herself, "Yep, he's a role player with some Shakespearean mod installed." It's kind of neat though. Never been brave enough to try role play. And she's like, "Congrats on reaching the peak of your experience then. I thank thee," they wave, "and thanks for the help with the whelp."
With the whelp.
Like, "'Tis nothing." And she's like, "You're using a tomb as an implement?" I don't know if you've heard, but the new meta for sorcerers are scepters. He's like, "Meta?" She's like, "Yeah, I mean, you'd be a much more powerful sorcerer if you used a scepter instead." And this is significant. I want to kind of like just run through these panels so we can discuss at the end. But this part, we're trying to guess who he is. And she says, he's like, "Oh, 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗍 there is much thou could teach with me, Miss Maze. I'd be happy to help you build your spec if you'd like. Truly, great." We have Olivia there, /Edgar. A friend and I are going to join us. They are most kind. I don't want to be a burden. Anyway, so he's coming, and she asks Edgar, you know, "Would you like to ask Olivia if she'd like to heal in the group?" He halts, turns around, gives her middle fingers.
So funny.
And he's like, "No, 'tis a no." So now they're in this pub dungeon. They're fighting, and then they're around their feast, which is like a boar. And Angela gets very upset. So I'm sorry, I'm just running through this real fast. So
Yeah.
She confronts the stranger and she's like, "Would you turn off that damn Shakespearean mod? I can't understand an effing word you're saying." It's like, and then Angela, she gets upset. "Great work, Dion. We just need to work on getting you some better gear. Thou art too kind." And she says, "If you need my help or if you want to group up again, please accept this." And she sends him a friend request. It's really cute to see the physical representation of like the digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, I thank thee." He's a little hard. He's accepted it. He's very cute, very enthusiastic. So it's a character trait that maybe. And then he's like, "That was a glorious day. I has learnt much and did gain a new cousin." And he starts to take off his hat. And Sam is like shocked because who does she see? She sees 𝗪𝗏. And he says, "'Twas a day well played, I bethink." And she thinks to herself, he looks just like the man of my dreams, which was 𝗪𝗏, which is a combination of Link, right, with the stubble, and I think the body shape, curls for the eyes and the face, the mouth, and then the hair is Marshall. And she thinks back. So, who do you think this is, guys?
Okay, first, did you think it was Marshall?
Yeah, me too. I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought so.
It just reminded me of how he played through her game. And just like the way he was and the way he played, and even the stinking, mods and to, for his voice and stuff like that. It made me think of him and how he was just like more like I felt like he was more trying to role play in the game. You know what I mean?
But do you still think it's Marshall?
I have no idea because I went to the Fast Pass group on Facebook and so many different theories
Yes.
So many different.
Those were great, by the way. I was so impressed. Everyone's been digging.
Yeah, because the thing that confuses me about if it was Marshall, first of all, I wouldn't put it past him to use a Shakespearean mod. I think he would have a blast with that thing. But so he reaches max level, but apparently his gear, like at first I was like, oh, it's like a purposeful choice to have poor gear. But then they kept going on about that. So I was like, maybe his gear really is bad and he really wants her to help him, which for an experienced player who makes a living out of playing video games like Marshall, and he has mentioned before that he's good at this game, doesn't seem to make sense. And that's what kind of threw me off a little bit. And then also he's spoken to them about joining them, I think, right?
Yeah, he said, I think even Vicky offered to have him.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe he knows some of their characters already, you know, just from hanging out with Vicky and Abe and things like that. I don't know. It just, for me, it didn't seem to line up that it would be Marshall.
So
But
for
I
me,
don't know.
though, it didn't line up that it could be Charles either. And I'll tell you why. Because, you know, the episode before showed him going around, you know, swimming all day and doing all sorts of stuff, doing activities. But meanwhile, you have Sam, and she said, is Olivia still in bed? And basically, what it seemed like to me in this one was them saying that it's still kind of early in the morning. You know what I mean? So Charles, I thought, would still be, you know, going around doing whatever he was last episode during when this is happening. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's why it can't be Charles, because he wouldn't. I feel like he. But then again, I don't know. It seemed like this guy had been going around during the day and getting, you know, and playing, and this was just like he just happened upon them. So yeah. I don't know.
But could you reach max level if you just started?
Well, somebody pointed out that Charles has a
secret hobby that no one knows about.
That nobody knows about, and he's afraid to talk to people about. But if he's been playing this for a while and this is his secret hobby, don't you think we know what meta is? Like,
yeah. So that right. I mean, I know Monty gave an interview on
Marshall. Like, I feel like Marshall would 100% know what meta is and be like, oh, if she's like, oh, this is, you know, outdated, he'd been like, oh, okay, cool, because he has played it before. And even if he hasn't played it in a while, he still knows. He's still in the gaming community. I mean, you look up one thing about gaming on Google, and then you forever get notifications about that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I looked up one time because I was into K-pop back in the day, like back in the late 2000s, and I looked up one thing a couple of years ago, and then I got flooded all sorts of K-pop stuff, and that's why I got back into it again, is because I was like, oh, they're having a comeback. I can't believe they're still around, you know, like all this other stuff. So
I think somebody mentioned that Marshall said he hasn't played the game in a while. So in which case it would make sense that he's able to reach max level and be good at it, but also not know about the latest, you know, meta or outfits or whatever. But his behavior definitely to me rings like Marshall. And
watch it. No, none of them.
What if, and I think also the fact that she, I think, is immediately going to associate him with romance could kind of lead into the next part of the story, which I think is going to focus on Marshall and romance, but maybe it's a third character. I doubt it, but
yeah. I mean, I have to be honest, the way that Marshall was brought back into like the triangle pissed me off a bit. Like, I was like, this is out of nowhere. You know, she was like, oh, I'm thinking about ruminate, Marshall or Charles. And I was like, no, this is coming out of nowhere. Like, what is this?
Well,
so
she did have a crush on him before she actually knew him. And then they got to know each other again.
Yeah.
You know, at first she had a bad impression of him, but then she has a good impression of it. And Sam Mongia says Demi. And the thing is that you don't find in your demis, you're not sexually attracted to somebody until you have an emotional connection of some sort. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic though. So you can so I understand, because I'm demisexual, I understand it. It's one of those things that you can be still physically attracted to somebody, but not necessarily want to date them.
Yeah, I just mean like storytelling wise, I feel like especially with the break, it's been so long that we had any kind of chemistry between them. And then suddenly it was like, you know, kind of thrown in. But so if it would be like kind of introduced again this way, it could be nicer,
Yeah.
I think. But then it just confuses me. Why would Marshall include, like, it would have to be by chance, right? That it would look like the Fantindo guy.
Yeah, that's also right. Obviously, like nobody would know except for Sam. So I'm trying to figure out what is she trying to tell us with the fact that this character looks like all three of them. I don't know, but
maybe that none of the guys we know so far is actually the perfect guy for her.
ooh, okay, that's a good
But
one.
this is the third season. How much longer do we have? You know, introduce something completely different.
Hey, Luff ended up and she didn't choose either of them, so yeah.
That we know of. It was like left open-ended.
Well, I know, but I listened to the interview with the author afterwards, and she said what she thought actually happened, which was that she met another guy from the science program, like neither of them.
Oh, wait, I thought she was with both of them.
Yeah,
Left it
I
open,
know.
but she was asked like, "What do you think actually happened?" And that's what she said. But anyway, I got to run to my
Look,
next.
Yeah.
But thanks so much
Yeah.
for joining. I'm glad we were able to fit it in. Thanks so much.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that my power went out, but
No, that's fine. Mindy, I'll see you next week. We
Yeah.
can hopefully find out more about Dion.
Yes.
yes.
Awesome. Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye.